I was hysterically Kim K crying. Hi guys. So I've been wanting to make this video for a really long time and I just never got around to it because one, I didn't have time, two, I probably kept forgetting. Finally sat down and thought of all the videos that I have on my list that I've been wanting to make, so I decided that this one is really long overdue. Okay, so I wanted to make my labor and delivery story a long time ago, and I just keep forgetting, so I'm sorry. But it's finally here, and I'm finally going to tell you guys how it went. Okay, so first of all, I should say my pregnancy was beyond easy. I didn't have too many complications. I honestly, sometimes early on before I was showing would forget I was pregnant because I just didn't have a lot of the normal pregnancy symptoms ever. I was only ever nauseous for a week and that was it. It was really smooth sailing. Pretty much up until my 9th month of being pregnant, I started getting a lot of bad leg pain. My 8th month I started experiencing it, but it got bad when I got to my 9th month, and it would inhibit me to really do anything. I couldn't even get into my bed without my boyfriend helping me. He had to help me sit down in bed and then help me lay down in bed, and I would pretty much have to sleep on my back first, and then he would have to actually help me get onto my side because my leg pain was so severe that I couldn't do anything by myself, because if I ever tried to use those muscles, it would just I would buckle down in pain and I would just cry. It was insane because I have shin splints, and after a while I could barely walk. I could barely shop around or stand for a long time without my feet insanely swelling and my legs swelling up to my knees swelling, and my shin splints, the pain would just shoot up and down my legs. It was really bad. And then I think about 2 weeks before my due date, my left leg would always swell more than my right leg, and it would really hurt. I would have that same exact swelling, but mainly just my right leg would kind of swell, but my left leg would just swell like crazy, and the pain was excruciating. I couldn't get in and out of cars either without a lot of pain because you kind of have to use those muscles to stand yourself up. Getting into cars was hard. I was a miserable mess my last month of pregnancy. So I had my last appointment before my due date, and she could see the swelling through my jeans that I was wearing, and she asked me about induction, and I said hell yeah, because the sooner I got her out the better, because they thought since she was sitting so low that she might have been laying on a nerve, her head would have been laying on a nerve on my left side, and that's why I was having so many problems. The week before my last appointment, I was dilated to a 1, and then that next week, the day she brought up induction, she said I was dilated to a 3, and then I was 60% effaced. So she said it was actually really good time because I was progressing really well on my own, but I could be induced if I wanted to kind of help with the leg pain because I really just couldn't deal with it anymore. So my due date was on March 24th. I went in on the 20th, and I had her on the 21st of March. So how that went, my sister and my boyfriend were with me at my appointment on the 19th, and we decided yes on the induction. She swiped my membranes at the appointment, and she said that could also help me go into labor naturally, but it wasn't 100% sure, but it could also help with dilating as well. So we went in at 7, and they started me on this pill. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. But they started me on the pill, and they said that it would help with progressing my dilation and hopefully my water breaking on its own. So I could have her anytime after they started giving me the medicine, because this was supposed to help speed things along. Sadly, it didn't throughout the night. I wanted her to come that night, but she didn't. They told me to get as much rest as possible because the next morning would probably, and the next day would probably be a lot more crazy, so I should just try to sleep. I couldn't because I am a side sleeper, and in those hospital beds, if you've had a kid before, you know that the hospital beds are not easy to sleep on your back. At least for me, it wasn't. Those hospital beds are just all around just kind of uncomfy, and I couldn't sleep on my back for nothing. And I couldn't lay on my side because the pain was so bad. And so they had to come in order for me to get some sleep, I had them give me some medicine. I can't remember what it was called. It started with a D. That's all I know. If you've had a baby before and you guys know the name of what they gave me, it started with a D to help with the pain. Comment below if you know. But they gave me that medicine, and it freaking just made me feel so good. And I was out, like, I swear, a minute after they gave me that medicine. I was able to roll on my side and go to sleep. I was completely fine. So the next morning, I woke up around 6:30, and because a nurse came in, she was just checking my vitals and everything. And after that, I was like, I can't go back to sleep, so I just kind of chilled out. And they checked me, and I was still at a 3. I didn't move anything overnight. So around 8 o'clock, my doctor came in, and she broke my water. After that, things started to progress pretty fast. And I think within like a couple hours, I moved from a 3 to a 5. And around when I got to a 5, the contractions were getting so bad. I wanted to go into this as natural as possible, but when I got dilated to a 5, the contractions were just so bad that I couldn't do it anymore. I always told them that I'm up for an epidural. Don't completely count it out because I might want it. So they had that on my chart saying that they might need an epidural, so that they knew that somebody would be there to administer it. And I needed it. I couldn't do it anymore. I was in tears. Squeezing stuff, like squeezing the side of my bed, squeezing my boyfriend's hand, none of that helped. I couldn't do it. What was the hardest getting the epidural was going through contractions while they're administering the epidural, because you're trying to like push your back backwards, you know? And they're telling you to lean forward. And you just can't do that. And they didn't give me anything to, like, they didn't give me a pillow to hold on to. I just had to, like, sit there, my hands on my knees, and try to get through that shit. It was the worst thing ever. And also, right after the epidural was done, I had a bad contraction that made my water come out even more. And it went all over the floor, and on my boyfriend's foot, and on the nurse's foot. It wasn't cute. But after they did that, I was completely numb. I couldn't feel anything. And I want to say around 2 o'clock, they told me I was about at a 6.5, almost a 7, and that my baby's head was sunny side up. So their face is supposed to be facing like the floor, but she was facing upwards, like, so her face was like facing towards the ceiling, and she wasn't supposed to be. So they made me, since I was all numb now and I couldn't be on the ball anymore, because they had me be on the ball for a little bit. Once I was numbed up, they made me do the peanut ball between my legs, and it was the weirdest thing ever. And then they were like, hey, do you think you could get on your hands and knees and kind of sway your butt back and forth? And I was like, I can't feel my legs, so I don't know how you expect me to get on my hands and knees. So the nurse and my boyfriend both had to like turn me and get me on my hands and knees, and they had to move my butt back and forth for me because I couldn't feel anything. I did that for, God, back and forth on my hands and knees, and then laying on one side with the peanut ball and then the other side, pretty much until 4 o'clock. And then around 4 o'clock, they told me I was dilated to a 10. And I was like, sweet, I can start pushing probably. No. They made me freaking wait. They were like, try to let her come down as far as she can on her own. Just keep sitting through the contractions. You're gonna start feeling like you need to poop. And they said, whenever you start feeling that, then that's when we want you to start pushing. But for now, just let the contractions keep happening and let her come down as far as she can on her own before you start pushing. And I'm actually really glad that they did that, and I want that same experience the next time I have a kid, because it didn't take long. So I honestly, and also I kind of started after about, I want to say like probably about like 10 minutes, I felt like I needed to poop, because of the contractions. It literally feels like that, but I just let it keep happening for like a little bit, and then I finally told them. I did it for about, so it was about probably like 4:15 when I told them that I could feel it, and I would probably need to start pushing. So they were like, okay, we're gonna do a couple practice pushes. The very first practice push that happened, they could see her already, and she was able to pull out her hair to show them. She's like, look at how long her hair is. And my doctor was in appointments at this time. So I only did, I think, about 5 practice pushes, and she was like, yeah, her head's like right here. And my boyfriend and my mom and my sister, because I had them holding my legs, they could all see her head already. So she was calm about it, and she was like, all right. She's like, the next push, the next contraction, just try to sit through it, don't push. So she had me sit through about 2 contractions. Everyone was calm in the room, but apparently outside the room was fucking chaos because the nurse is out there, my mom was out there, and my mom went to walk to the waiting room to see if my brother and sister saw my doctor, and they were like, yeah, she was the doctor that ran past you, because they said they were sitting there chilling in the family room, and she came through one of the back doors, and she was booking it to my room. So everyone was nice and calm in the room for me. But they started rushing all of the baby stuff and all of the doctor stuff in, and I kind of started getting a little bit anxiety because I knew it was happening. And she came in and she was like, "Yep, we're ready to get her out." And I had to sit through that, and I had one more contraction, and she was like, and I was like, "I'm having one," and they were like, "Don't push." And thankfully they got everything, they started working even faster because I told them I can't not push anymore. So I only pushed for about 5 minutes before she came out. And it was the easiest thing ever. And I would do it all again because it actually wasn't that bad. I was just scared more than anything. The birth could not have gone more amazing. I think about it all the time, and I think back to it, and I love the labor I had. It was the most amazing delivery ever. And when they pulled her out, she had her eyes open. Right when they pulled her out and they put her on my chest, her eyes were open. She cried for a little bit and she stopped, and me and her just stared at each other for the longest time, and I was crying my eyes out. Anyway, it wasn't as long of a story as I thought. It was nothing really that crazy happened. If you are about to have your baby soon or anything, if you have anything that's kind of like this where your doctors want you to wait a little bit after you get to 10, just wait. Even if you feel like you have to push, or even if you feel that like poop feeling that they're gonna tell you about, wait a little bit, like I did, because I think that's what helped me not tear if you're gonna be having your first baby. But thank you guys for watching. This was a video I wanted to do for a really long time, and I finally did it. Sorry it's long, but it was kind of a story. I will talk to you guys later.